They're desperately trying to keep the people in the galleries quiet because this looks like this is going off the rails. This is like the conservative Woodstock.
A new deal for the American people.
Extremism in the defense of liberty.
There is no substitute for victory.
The United States of America.
The drama of the 1964 convention starts with 1952. Conservatives were absolutely certain that the convention had been stolen from them. They're convinced that they have to take back the party from what they call the Wall Street Republicans, the New York Kingmakers. And they back this guy named Barry Goldwater, who's this cowboy conservative from Arizona, over the moderate Nelson Rockefeller.
I'm returning here to San Francisco today to win in the contest for the nomination of my party.
By the time the convention rolls around, Barry Goldwater really seems to have sewn up the nomination. But the establishment will not let well enough alone. They're trying, even at the last minute at the convention, to run one of their own, a blue blood governor of Pennsylvania named William Warren Scranton.
A lot of the journalists couldn't believe that this fellow out of Arizona with these strong opinions was going to get the nomination.
Goldwater is far to the right of the mainstream of the Republican Party. He votes against the Civil Rights Act. He really seems like he's very reckless when it comes to nuclear war. The Goldwater campaign is absolutely convinced that unless they basically run this convention with military discipline, the Eastern establishment will steal the Republican Party from the conservative base.
If there is a victory, it's not a victory for Barry Goldwater. It's a victory for the mainstream of Republican thinking.
We were all prepped for weeks in advance of the convention. We had 36 hotels where delegates were staying. Each one had a radio transmitter right to headquarters.
I'll put Mr. Adams on for you.
We knew that people would pull the plug on speakers, on microphones. We had backup for all that stuff.
They're not going to give any quarter when it comes to any platform planks, any procedural rules. They're just going to vote down the line for Goldwater. Now the liberal side, who are horrified that the public is going to see the Republicans as captive of extremists, decide that they're going to put forward 3 platform planks. One promising to uphold the civil rights law, another to denounce extremism, whether it comes from the Ku Klux Klan or the Communist Party, and another denouncing racism. They give these very soaring speeches, and the Goldwater delegates just consider this an insult.
So when the famous Rockefeller speech occurs, the galleries erupted.
The Republican Party is in real danger of subversion by a radical, well-financed, highly disciplined majority. Here we have order. Here we have order so that the justice can be heard.
It was great drama. Here is the governor of the state of New York, who had just been a serious candidate for president, a millionaire, billionaire, being booed by his party.
Rockefeller wants this to happen. He wants the extremism of the Goldwater forces to be revealed for all to see.
None of us knew how important television was. Americans were seeing these screaming people.
At a certain point, things are so violent, the passions against the media are so great, they literally start grabbing the spindles that are holding these glass booths for the networks and shaking them.
I grew up in the age of silent films. The first taste of radio any of us had was Roosevelt's Fireside Chats, but television hits the emotion.
Mr. President, Barry Goldwater.
It's the job of the nominee traditionally to give this unifying speech, to kind of usher all the rancor under the bridge. But Barry Goldwater is so sick of these snooty, arrogant Eastern elites telling him what to do and treating his delegates like they're, children, that he decides, the hell with it. That's the context for the most famous line of the convention.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
The impact of the convention in 1964 was the moderates in the Republican Party were right. Barry Goldwater was seen as a dangerous extremist.
The convention pretty much killed us. I mean, I had a sinking feeling that it was pretty much over. It was mitigated by the roar of the crowds, but that's very misleading. We lost by 15 million votes in the actual election. But I'd say because of Goldwater's breaking the ice, so to speak, the conservative movement became very important within the Republican Party.